Hey guys, it's RodimusPrimal. I am back in another video, and today I will be reviewing for you guys the Transformers War for Cybertron Trilogy's Commander Class Rodimus Prime, and I have been waiting to show this to you guys. The box art you can see here looks amazing, and of course, you know, you take a look at the back of the box, it shows you all the cool stuff that you can do. But I am really excited to show this to you guys. So without further ado, let's sit back, relax, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and let's transform and roll out. Consider supporting the channel on Patreon, becoming a channel member, or purchasing some merch at my spring store today. Okay, so out of the packaging, this is everything that you get out of this particular Transformer, which in my eyes, just by looking at it, kind of justifies the price point of a Commander class, considering all the parts that Leader class Optimus Prime came with, and I'll show that to you guys in a little bit. But taking a look at Rodimus Prime himself in vehicle mode, he is an awesome looking vehicle. The only problem that I have really with this particular vehicle in and of itself is that the hubcaps are not painted, and I'm sure that somebody's probably going, you know, Toy Hacks is probably going to come up with labels to make the vehicle mode look like less of a dome. But here's the thing. Rodimus Prime is supposed to be based on the GM Bison, which I'm going to show you guys right here, which was the truck from the future, because it was shown at the 1964 World's Fair to show what the world of tomorrow would be. And it was a turbine-powered truck. So with a turbine-powered engine, that's how it ended up looking. And so here, taking a look back at Rodimus Prime, the actual dome itself here is very reminiscent of that dome from the GM Bison. That is what his vehicle mode was originally designed to be. But at the same time, this is like a souped up hot rod as well, because he's got the giant spoiler on his back. He's got the smokestacks here, or actually not really smokestacks, but like, you know, pipes here on the side, very much like Hot Rod. And when you compare him to Studio Series 86 Hot Rod, you know, you can see the size difference. Overall, there's quite a bit of difference between them. And of course, I painted the top of this, but I'm halfway tempted to get the Toy Hacks labels for him, and I'm sure they're going to probably do the same for this, because I believe that the plastic for these hubcaps they don't stick very well, to my understanding from the paint, from what some people have said. So I'm curious as to how that's going to end up being. But then when you compare him to the Hot Rod section of, you know, Power of the Primes, Hot Rod or Rodimus, to me this is just Rodimus Prime, at least as far as I'm concerned with the Power of the Primes. But this doesn't look that good in particular, the very squareness of this vehicle. I mean, it is kind of like the G1 vehicle, which I will show you guys a little bit later, but I like this. This is very, very heavy. Like, this is light by comparison. This has got a lot of heft to it. Now, moving Rodimus Prime aside, he comes with a whole bunch of accessories. He comes with his Sword of Primus, which is actually from the Regeneration 1 comics, but of course this is also based on the 1986 movie, so he does have the Matrix in his chest. He comes with a blast effect for that. Comes with a whole bunch of other blast effects, which are really cool. I like them in blue. I do not like these black ones. These black ones just, they don't do it for me. They just look terrible. Of course, he comes with his blaster, which you can, fold out like this, which is his rifle, and that can store either on his back on the top there, or he does have the ports there to store if you want to, so you can have him ride into battle with the sword and the blaster just as the cab section of the truck. And of course, these blast effects here are used for other parts of the vehicle. This part as well here is the cannon that would open up, has the blast shields like so, and has the handles for when he is in robot mode, which we'll see when I do open up his full-on trailer as a whole. He has a peg there, so he can either stick that on the top of the vehicle if you so desire, like that, or on the inside you can do, I've seen some people actually use the 5mm port here to turn this into a jetpack, which I will kind of mess around with once we get Rodimus Prime in his vehicle mode, but I don't want to waste too much more of your time. Now, just to take a look at the trailer itself, fully closed, it has quite a bit of storage. This is probably what is in part what you're also paying for with the Commander class price point. They ended up putting the smokestacks here on a hinge. Some people have made a note of the opening on the side here. It doesn't bother me that much in person, and you'll see when I actually do put it together. The trailer itself does open up with a ramp, and look how much storage space you have in there. You can actually, if you wanted to, put a smaller car in here. Hot Rod could fit, except for his some extra parts are sticking out, but I do believe that we could put Netflix Bumblebee in there to ride if he so desires, which I do think is rather cool. Have him roll out. Maybe this might be the basis, or at least the size, what they might do if they decided to make Kit a Transformer and do the Night Industries 2000. I would love to see that. Now, closing it back up, he does have storage here as well, which you can put a bunch of the blast effects. You can put the sword. I've tried to figure out different places where I wanted to put it. I've also seen people use the blast effects here for the rocket boost for Rodimus in truck mode, so he has that turbine powered engine. It's basically really hot blue flames coming out the backside, which is awesome. But the other thing is that they're supposed to have these smokestacks here in black, which, man, I am not a fan of that black at all. Like, you can put it on both sides and it's just, it does not look right. Now, actually getting Rodimus Prime in his trailer itself, there is a little hitch right here where it's supposed to go in, and here is the thing. All of the promotional images go in about that far. That is it. So it sticks out way too far, and everybody has made complaints that Rodimus Prime looks a little too long. Well, here is the thing. And I want to give a shout out to Bert. Normally, I don't necessarily watch anybody else's reviews until I've really had a chance to mess around with the toys. But when I watched his review, he had made mention of this, and I said, wow, this is actually makes it a lot better. And I was going to get this figure anyway, but when you stick it in, it doesn't go, it's not in as far as it needs to be. There actually is a little bit more space here. So we actually have to do is kind of pull the figure down and stick it in a little bit more, because then it's this way the next latch goes in, and it has to go in just till it, like, almost till it clicks, and you'll see it's very flush on the bottom with the feet. And once that is the case, the spoiler sticks out very much like his G1 vehicle, which I will show you guys in a moment. And now, in vehicle mode, he looks awesome. He is very reminiscent of that GM Bison. I know a lot of people want to make mention of it kind of looking like an RV, but the thing is that it's not an RV. It doesn't necessarily have windows, and has storage space in the back here for vehicles to go in, because that's the whole idea. Now, in vehicle mode itself, again, he does also have a storage space up here. This is where I've put a lot of his blast effects. I'll end up putting the blaster like someplace else, but like the blast effects overall you can kind of store in here if you want to, and that is kind of the whole idea, is that you can store everything that you need to, either in the tray on the bottom or on the part here on the top, but it still looks awesome. Again, the only thing I think that it needs is the hubcaps need to be taken care of, and that would be like the one thing to, you know, finish or fix that vehicle mode, which I'm sure that Toy Hacks is going to end up doing. And then, of course, some people have pointed out that these stripes right here are usually of a different color, you know, in the animation model, which is always a choice that I'm sure a lot of people are going to want to have done to Rodimus Prime. But other than that, He looks awesome. And just size comparison with him. I mean, here is not Studio Series, but Netflix Bumblebee in vehicle mode on top. Here is Kingdom Ultra Magnus in vehicle mode. And just by size comparison alone, this is a leader class trailer compared to Rodimus Prime. This is the front right here. There is about that much space sticking out from Ultra Magnus from Rodimus Prime. And same thing with Optimus Prime. This is what I was talking about before. This actually has the extra parts from non-F, so the trailer is sticking out even a little bit more. Same thing. There's still a lot more trailer to this vehicle than before. I mean, even Optimus Prime's initial trailer itself is, not as long as Rodimus Prime's, nor is it as big. Now, I have an issue with my, this is actually the Earthrise one, but it's the same thing. But the trailer opens up on mine, and I might actually have to get something to fix that. I've noticed a lot of people have complaints about theirs with Rodimus. The thing about Rodimus Prime's trailer, when it opens up, which you can see here, does open like so. And I'm going to do it like this in the review because taking it out of the vehicle mode. When you take this part right here, some people are having issues with Rodimus Prime's trailer closing all of the way because this is supposed to stick in like so. And there's supposed to be like a little hitch right here, like a little spot on the trailer where this little hook is supposed to match in, and then when this closes, which gotta close those up, kind of has a little bit of an issue and difficulty with everything closing. And mine doesn't have it that bad, but I've noticed other people have. My Optimus Prime has it worse. So some people have done is they've taken the tabs and they put a little bit of glue on the sides here to close it up, and that is the solution to fix Rodimus Prime's trailer when you go to close it. But then again, it doesn't bother me so much, the spacing on Rodimus Prime's trailer, probably just because there's so much heft to it, whereas Optimus Prime's trailer, it's a lot more noticeable. And taking a look at scale once again, you can see how much different. This is would be your standard trailer and truck for either Earthrise or Siege Optimus Prime with a trailer, and how much of a difference there is space-wise for Optimus or Nemesis with a trailer in comparison to Rodimus. Like, it's just that much bigger of a trailer. Now, a lot of people have been making mention, of course, of this Rodimus Prime in comparison to this one, and how much different this one is to that. I, of course, painted the hubcaps because I, again, did not like the hubcaps being black, but this vehicle mode just does not do it for me. I had such an issue with that, with the fist sticking out. I'm like, how can we fix that? How can you make that better? Or even change it. Of course, this figure in particular also combines with the trailer, so it ends up with a much larger robot mode. But like, I just looking at the two of them, it's like, one on top of another. It's like night and day for me. And looking at previous Rodimus Prime figures, here is Titanium Rodimus Prime, which is one of the premier Rodimus Prime figures that we got because it was die-cast. And this here is Energon Rodimus Prime. Now, this is in particular is a real-life turbine-powered truck, and I'm going to show this image on the screen. That is what the real vehicle mode looks like in comparison. So when Rodimus Prime was supposed to be a turbine-powered truck, this was what the result ended up being in real life. So it did actually become a real-life turbine-powered truck. So Rodimus Prime is pretty much the truck from the future. And one final Rodimus to Rodimus comparison, of course, I'm going to compare G1 Rodimus Prime and how this particular truck mode was. And yes, of course, they did do a much better chroming of the pipes on the side here. And this was how the vehicle mode connected to the trailer was very different by comparison. And to be quite honest with you, man, it is like this is like such a worthy update. And this scene right here is right out of the 1986 movie when Rodimus Prime said Autobots transform and roll out inside of Unicron before they flew out of his eye. These were all of the Autobots who were in that scene. So being able to recreate that just like we saw in the movie is just as awesome in doing it with the figures as it was in the movie, because Rodimus Prime has the touch, he has the power. And since we might as well compare some Decepticons, I don't yet have Kingdom Galvatron, but this is the Titans Return Galvatron in a canon mode, of course, Cyclonus and Scourge. And one final comparison, of course, a lot of people want to make mention of the fact that this is a Commander class figure. So when you compare scale, here is Siege Jetfire, who was the Commander class figure for that line, and Kingdom, of course, is the one for Rodimus Prime. But in particular, Skyfire, I know I want to call him Skyfire. I know the toy was called Jetfire. In particular, is much lighter. Like if I take this figure and then I go to pick this guy up, this guy's got a lot of heft to him. So there's a lot more plastic just in that, this alone. And, of course, the cannon is in there, but even so, this is so much lighter. And that probably keeps this figure aerodynamic, I guess you could say. But this is a lot of heft. Now, moving on to transformation, taking this from vehicle mode to robot mode does take a lot of steps. First and foremost, in order to get him out of the trailer, you pull the figure down that gets off the latch that's in the trailer so that you can pull the trailer out. We're going to put that to the side. Actually, we're going to open him up. And this way that the cannon is prepared, because, of course, we're going to end up doing comparisons once everything is in robot mode. So there is the trailer as a battle platform as it was in the original G1 toy. So now the first thing you're going to do to actually transform it here, we're going to unlatch the panels and on both sides here, which opens up the spoiler section here so it can actually come up. And then from here, what we're going to do is we're going to lift the hood. And one of the things I do want to make mention of is that I am slightly but not really disappointed that the canopy itself can't open, so this way that you can fit two small little figurines. But it's a level of detail that is one of the few things that I can knock on it. But so anyway, you continue to move this up, which will get the canopy out of the way, and then from here this will allow you to open up the arms to get them open. And since everything is already done, the instructions kind of tell you to transform the upper body first before you transform the lower body, but in order to get it out of the way, we want to rotate the waist here just so that it is completely out of the way. We're going to open up the feet and we're going to transform the legs. So from here, the back panel opens up on both sides, which will allow you to pull the legs out. And once this part here is disconnected from the foot, the tires can slide in and snap into place on both sides. And then what they actually do is there is a spot right here where the tire is gonna go, and then you close it up like so. You do the same thing on both sides. And that transforms the legs. Then what we're going to do is I'm going to keep the arms, I'm going to move the arms slightly out of the way here to pull the hood off of the canopy, and that kind of gives you like this whole open section here. But what I want to do is I want to move this down so that can and then the canopy down, because the arms themselves have to do a step in the transformation that you kind of need everything out of the way. And this is kind of one of the reasons why I transformed the legs first, is because this part of the shoulders rotates, and the mushroom peg here tends to be a little loose and comes, disconnected during the transformation. So if you have a lot of clearance made, then you don't necessarily have to worry about it. And I'm rotating this now. And if you notice the little tab here on the canopy, that's where the spoiler is going to connect to hide the window, which I'm not really going to do at that point because I do need to get the arms transformed. Then we're going to rotate the head like so. And we're going to pull it down. One thing I do want to make mention of, and it kind of did this during the transformation, there are these two panels here. And the two panels that stick out, they kind of pop off pretty easily. They are on a on a hinge joint that is very, very loose, at least on my copy, and I don't know why they didn't make them a little bit tighter, but it's kind of one of the things that pops off pretty easy, so you have to take note of that when you're transforming it. The other thing that you're going to do here, okay, so with this particular gray hinge, the way that this hinge itself is supposed to go, it's supposed to go up, and then the part here that's sticking up like so actually slides down in order to make it line up properly. And then from there, you can easily connect the gray part there, like so. And that should make it flush, because if you don't have the back section there lined up, you'll notice that there is a gap here in the stomach. It is one of the things that during the transformation, the first time I transformed it, that I had an issue with trying to get it to tab correctly. It has to do with that hinge on the inside there. So that is something to take note of. Now, in order to get the arms transformed here, what you're going to do is, like, these little notches right here have to go into the pegs. It's not really a peg, but it's kind of like a space there for the arms themselves to pop into place, because it has to like line up just right. And there we go. So you have to come down a little bit in order to go in, and then this part here should line up to go in just like so. And once this section here is, you have to like bend the gray joint right there and then push it in like so. Get it in like that. Now, the arm transformation is really, really cool. There are a couple of different steps here that you have to do. First and foremost is you're going to take the section off of the hands. They're going to rotate like so. Then this portion here, like it bends down a little bit, comes up like so, and then comes up and over the arm and connects. And it kind of reminds me of a more advanced version of Studio Series 86 Hot Rod. And that's really what a lot of this transformation is that there seems to be like a lot of steps that are cues from Studio Series 86 Hot Rod, but not exactly the same thing. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other arm, just so that we can be a little bit more symmetrical. And come in like so. And last but not least is something really, really cool that allows the arms to have more range of motion, but also because it keeps the tires from rotating on his shoulders, and they actually come in. So as you can see, they open up and then they slide in, and that the actual piece there that they normally latch into goes in like so. And that gives you his complete transformation from vehicle mode to robot mode. And of course, my copy, the back section here tends to open up because I'm a little rough, but that's all right. But the shoulder joints are really cool. There's a lot of articulation that Studio Series 86 Hot Rod does not have. He has a lot the ankle tilt. He has the the foot movement. Of course, that is part of transformation. The knees bend. The thighs rotate, so he does have quite a bit of rotation. The backpack itself does get in the way for full rotation of his waist. So if he's trying to do a punch, it's kind of like not so much as easy to do that punch. It's more of a straightaway punch in that respect. The hands themselves, they do open up. You can kind of have the open hand look like this. You can have a full closed hand, or if you wanted to, you could have the pointing like so, and that's the end. This is the end of the road, Galvatron. Now, one thing I do want to take note of is that everybody has made mention of his face. His face is not that bad when you really boil it down, because his face is more based on his Regeneration 1 comic look. So in that particular comic book, they made him look a little bit older than he was in the 86 movie, so I'm not too bothered by it. And in person, it doesn't bother me as much. In fact, it's one of those things that only if you're really being a stickler for the face in and of itself. I'm curious if a third party is going to come out with like a new head that I'm going to end up changing out to like give me the younger looking Rodimus, but that's something that he just looks awesome in robot mode in general, and I really dig the work that was done to make this particular robot look as good as it does. Now, his chest, which is kind of part of the transformation, does open up like so, and the matrix in here is slightly different than his his previous mold. The matrix itself is a little bit different than the matrices that come in Optimus Prime, and the one apparently that comes with Galvatron, because the hole on this one is a little bit smaller. So here he has the matrix, and he can quite literally reenact the movie by holding the matrix like so. And of course, he does come with a blast effect to give you that impression that he's opening the matrix and holding it above his head. And quite literally, we can have him holding the matrix like so. And we're going to bring Studio Series 86 Hot Rod so we can literally reenact the movie as it happened, as Hot Rod became Rodimus Prime. And of course, if you've seen my images on Instagram and on Twitter and on Facebook, I'll show those images here where I had Rodimus Prime transform into, or Hot Rod transform into Rodimus Prime using the sword, but that was more so of a He-Man reference in particular. But going back to this, he does come with the Sword of Primus, and as I've mentioned before, it was something from the Regeneration 1 comics, so they were drawing inspiration from that. This is his rifle, which does fold up for storage. You can put it on his back, or you can put it on his side there, but I'm going to give him his blaster so that you can have a full-on Rodimus Prime ready for action. And the other thing that we're going to do here is I'm going to put him on his battle platform with his sword, with his shield, and he's ready to blast away Decepticons. Let's get Hot Rod out of the way. And the blast effects that he comes with, there are so many of them that it was kind of like hard to pick, okay, which one do I want to get into the blasters here, because you can line them up however you need to so that he can have the double barrel cannons. He also comes with an extra one, so you can put that on his regular blaster, so if he's firing on Decepticons from over here. And I'm not really going to end up using these black ones. I'm probably going to put them into whatever storage bin that I can. But the reason why I wanted to show Rodimus Prime here on his battle platform is because the G1 Rodimus Prime can do the same exact thing. And G1 Rodimus Prime is not very posable by comparison. When you take a look at the Kingdom Commander class Rodimus in comparison to his G1 figure, this is the update that we've been wanting for quite some time for Rodimus Prime. And I do want to say something to a lot of people who are making comparisons to like, oh, how come they keep on doing these Generation 1 characters? And it's like, dude, this is what we had. We're finally getting a figure that is worthy of the character. So yeah, that's why. And so the G1 Rodimus Prime, it's a good thing to compare. Now, something else that I wanted to show that is really cool that you could do, you could take this double barrel cannon and attach it to his back, like so, to give you a fully armored, ready to go Rodimus that is ready to take on Decepticons, which again is something completely different to his original G1 toy. But doing a further comparison, here is the Power of the Primes quote-unquote hot rod, but really I used this as the normal mode for Rodimus Prime, and basically the other one was the super mode. But I wasn't really a fan of it, either mold, because it's like, man, I really wanted a figure of Rodimus Prime that was a lot better. And of course, comparing Studio Series 86 Hot Rod to him, it's like such a leagues and world of difference. And for the longest time, before even the Power of the Primes toy came out, it was like we never even got a decent Rodimus Prime toy. Like, we gotten the Titanium Rodimus Prime, and we got the Energon Rodimus, which was Rodimus Convoy or Rodimus Prime in Japan, Super Link, cartoon. So really, this is the largest non-masterpiece Rodimus Prime toy that we've ever gotten, and he's a freaking awesome looking figure, especially when you compare it to the other ones. It's like I've got now my definitive Hot Rod and my definitive Rodimus out of this, but comparing them to the others, here is Titan's Return Galvatron alongside the Voyager scale Kingdom Cyclonus and Studio Series 86 Scourge. So we see what he's like next to the 86 Decepticons. Obviously, it is a size comparison for Commander Class Siege Jetfire, or as I call him, Skyfire. But this figure, actually, again, I will say, does feel heavier than Skyfire. And here is Rodimus Prime alongside the rest of the Transformers that left Unicron. I don't yet have Wreck-Gar, so obviously he's kind of missing from the shot. But if you remember the ending scene for Transformers the movie, of course, we had Rodimus Prime was calling to all of these Transformers here. They were all, at least some of the survivors. There were a lot more, but a lot of people have believed otherwise. So this is at least a representation of the 86 movie. And another Rodimus comparison here is the super mode for Rodimus, for Power of the Primes Rodimus Prime along with Kingdom Rodimus. And boy, oh boy, do I gotta say that the Kingdom figure, this is like much more stable. He stands up correctly. He's much more mobile. This one, the ankle joints aren't that fun to transform. The gun falls apart. There's these weird looking shoulders. It's just, this one's just a mess of a figure. And by comparison, I'm like, man, this was like it for like such a a while, and now we get this, and it's like, forget this. Like, this makes seeing this again and transforming this again has made me much more happy to have gotten the Kingdom figure overall. Which is finally something that I want to make a comparison when you compare Kingdom Commander Class Rodimus to the Earthrise / Kingdom Leader Class Optimus Prime. This Optimus Prime figure I have had to toy hacks label, add paint, and I had gotten extra parts from Non-Af, so that's why the trailer has all of the labels. There is the extra pieces, which is roller. I do have the other roller that came with a Non-Af set, but this is the one that came with the accessory pack, all in order to make Optimus have all of the parts that he needed. So all in all, I've spent basically to have this Optimus Prime with all of the parts that I have for him, like somewhere in the ballpark of $125. So when you compare Rodimus Prime, comes with the blast effects, comes with everything that he does, including a detachable cannon for the battle platform, which was something that was not detachable on the G1 figure. This figure is very much well worth the Commander class price point for what he comes with. He is an amazing looking figure. I definitely recommend getting him. And to me, this is the definitive Rodimus Prime figure. Like, I am so pleased with this Rodimus Prime. It's literally the mini masterpiece that they have been touting for so long. The transformation is very, very complicated, which is a good thing. And yeah, I'm sure going to be getting the Toy Hacks labels in order to get me the hubcaps to be painted, and probably a little bit of extra detail in places to probably bring it closer to that, you know, either the G1 animation model or the G1 toy. But I want to know what you guys think. What do you think of this toy review? Of course, leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Be sure to thumbs up this video and subscribe. Check out my other videos as well. I have many more Transformers videos coming down the pipeline, so stay tuned for all of that. And as always, guys, until next time, till all are one.